hits and misses. While trying to get this thing off the road, you know, while I'm trying to get this work done and realize Vinyl Junkies for everything that I want it to be, I plant a lot of seeds. All right, I work hard at this. I treat this like a job because this is my job. So I try to get the best content possible because I want to talk about the best records. I want to be able to be informed because I respect you guys, the audience, right? So interviews is one of the things that I do. I'm going to give you a miss first, okay? We'll talk about a miss, and you'll see why it's a miss. It's not really a miss, but I'll tell you all about it. That's the Napalm death story, which I really hope will continue. But then I'm going to tell you the hit, and the hit's a big one. Maybe it's a miss, though. Why don't we find out? You guys can tell me, okay? A couple of years ago, maybe it was last year, I had interviewed Shane Embry of Napalm Death. They were here on tour with the Melvins and Melt Banana. I mean, you can't ask for a much better triple bill than that. So, wound up interviewing the Melvins also. But during the interview with Shane Embry was really amazing. What it is that I loved so much about it is that he was clearly passionate about this. Now, he's visited the John Peel archives and he's played for John Peel. John Peel is my hero. John Peel is many people's hero, not just mine. Okay, when I talk about the VJ archive here, what am I doing, man? I'm trying to archive it like John Peel would make his, because there will never be another John Peel archive, but there can be a VJ archive, and I take it seriously enough for, you know, to do it like he did. He fucking played for him. John Peel invited him to his home, you know, and supposedly he's got like 30,000 records and 15,000 12 inches, and then he took him out to a barn that was filled with 7 inches. Deep catalog. It was a very good conversation. Really, we really had a good time. And at the end of the whole thing, he said, hey, you know, we should exchange emails, which made me really happy because the conversation didn't stay about metal. We talked about Peel, and actually he said something that made me super happy. It's from him that I get this quote or this idea of John Peel used to say that when you didn't like music, it wasn't the fault of the music. It's because you didn't understand it yet. You didn't understand where it was coming from. You didn't have the right perspective on it. And I couldn't possibly agree more. And it's the way it is that I treat all art. If I don't like it, I don't shit on it because maybe I just don't get it. And it's okay not to get it. Hey, man, 24 hours in a day. You got only so many hours, right? Just enjoy what you enjoy, but don't be a dick. Don't fucking shit all over someone else. All right, I went a little bit off track. So back to Shane Embry. Exchange emails, right? And I saw that he was interested in stuff outside of metal. He'd talk about the Cocteau Twins, and I was so happy about that because I was talking about jazz, and he seemed genuinely interested in this, right? So I was chuffed because I'm there. Wow, man. It'd be so much fun to be able to have this type of an exchange with him, you know. And I had kind of put it in my head where, in terms of material, hey, think about it, man. And just a continuous online exchange with Shane Embry, or you meet with him when he comes in, and you just keep this ongoing conversation about the vinyl, and you talk about this and you talk about that. So when he offered me the email, okay, I had fantasized this entire thing. Please don't email me now, guys. I had fantasized this entire thing, right, where we'd exchange this. So I had sent him an email, and he answered back as like, yeah, look, I'm on the road right now. I can't talk to you now, but we will, promise, right? So what I did was I put together, hey, man, you wanted me to send you a couple of suggestions. Okay, you know, I might be fucking out of my mind, but I do have a couple of suggestions, and they are not in your wheelhouse, but I have a feeling that somehow you'll still enjoy it, okay? So what do? I suggest this to him. I start suggesting jazz to him. There's a movie. The way it is that I started is that there's a movie, an hour-long movie online called 1959, The Year That Changed Jazz, or The Year That Jazz Changed, 1959, something like that, right? Where they talk about 4 records. And, I mean, those are still the cornerstone of pretty much any jazz collection. They belong in every jazz collection necessarily. The first one being Ornette Coleman, The Shape of Jazz to Come. Not an original, I will get one eventually. Next, A Love Supreme, John Coltrane. I mean, right after that, Miles Davis kind of blew, on which John Coltrane played as well, and Bill Evans played. These are masterpieces, right? And the other album that they talked about is my favorite of the lot, Charles Mingus. Mingus Allman. Charles Mingus is the guy that made jazz make sense to me as a metalhead. I owe everything to this guy, man, and he's still my favorite jazz artist, and he's the only jazz artist I think I want everything from. So I have a huge passion for this stuff, and I suggested this movie to him, and suggested these 4 albums, and I had played up this fantasy in my head where, you know, we would have this exchange, and it's, oh, that's interesting, and he'd kind of like talk to me about records, maybe even exchange records, but, you know, this entire thing. The email never came back responded, even though he got to me with the original email. Okay, it never came back with the response because, well, you know, it just didn't. So it didn't go anywhere. That's kind of a miss. But maybe not, because, hey, the dude's busy. He's fucking touring with Brujeria. He's touring with Napalm Death. He's making side projects. The guy's busy all the time. So I don't want to fuck up and say, hey, you know, it's like, you know how it goes, right? This is something that I was kind of hoping that would be amazing content for you guys, because it's like, hey, man, wouldn't you like to know what's going on with fucking, Charles Mingus? Not with Charles Mingus. Sorry, man, something's distracting me. Let me turn something out. It's making me crazy. There we go. Yeah, I mean, wouldn't you want to know what's going on with Shane Embry? So for me, the idea was with this is always not develop, not interviews. I always kind of wanted to develop a conversation with other artists where we talk about stuff. And yeah, that was one of the first times. And the interview is up on Vinyl Junkies, and I'm going to give you a link. You can check it out. It was a good interview, really. But let's hope it goes further. I still want this to go further because Shane Embry is a complete gentleman, and it was awesome. Now, why don't we talk about hits? This is one of the things that worked out really fucking well. The response has been huge up to now with Vinyl Junkies. I'm really proud of that. And this here, what winds up happening is, like I said, as I'm looking for clients, right, or as I'm looking for people that I can give news to you guys about, I can't talk about records I don't have, right? I can't talk about a cartridge if I don't have the cartridge, and I can only buy so much. So, as I'm looking for these people, you know, you plant seeds, you make contacts, and some contacts go nowhere, and some contacts go somewhere, and that's just the way it's done. And you never worry about the ones that don't go anywhere, because you just keep practicing your shot, and eventually you're going to score the goals, right? So now that we talked about the misses, this just came in my email. A dude gets back to me from Reckoning Public Relations, sends me an email. Hey, Jeremy, would you like to review the new Sia record? Also, we're getting a copy of John Williams' reissue of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Would you like? You know, is that something that would interest you? And it's like, fuck yeah, it interests me. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, I wouldn't buy Sia myself. That doesn't make it not good. I'll listen to it, and if I appreciate it, I know my daughter will love it. So, definitely. Definitely. And I'm pretty sure we're going to pull out some songs and put them on the mixtape. Why? Because my daughter likes it, and, you know, you want to make everybody happy. So, I look at the whole thing, and obviously, you know, you try to make a connection there. So we wound up back and forth going until we finally jump on the phone for a little bit. I check out his site. His roster of artists is fucking killer. Now, Okay, I want to tell you about this because you come and tell me, Aaron, I really hope that you're watching right now, okay? The Allman Brothers. If there were any Allman Brothers records or Allman Brothers reissues, would you guys want to know about them? On the roster, yeah, I want to know about the Allman Brothers. I've been going on and on about the Bill Evans Trio. Guess what? He handles some of the recordings of the Bill Evans Trio as well. This is dream material. I mean, so much so that we're working on a record that kind of recreates the spirit of the Bill Evans Trio, with Jamie Saft on piano and a bassist to be named and a drummer to be named. We have the bassist, right? So, of course, right? No brainer. Fuck, I want to get the Bill Evans records. I love Bill Evans. I don't have enough of them. So, hey, tell me, would you like it if I talked more about Bill Evans? Would you be interested in the records? Of course. Arthur Lee in Love. I fucking spent many years trying to find all of their records, not only on album but on CD. This is one of my favorite records of all time. I made sure that I chased down an original of it. That's how much I like the record. It's... What do you say about a record like this? You know, it's like talking about Pet Sounds, or it's like talking about fucking Revolver. It's that big, man, or Odyssey and Oracle. This guy handles, his PR firm handles the Love Catalog. Tell me, would you like to know about the Love Catalog? Duh. Here's where it starts getting really insanely interesting. He's also in charge of the Stax catalog. Now, what's interesting about the Stax catalog is that they're celebrating their 60th anniversary right now, so they're reissuing a whole boatload of stuff. And I've got holes in my Stax catalog, and I couldn't be more excited. The first record that they're coming out with is the first blaxploitation record that's ever been made. I don't have it because I'm still looking for it. I haven't found a copy yet, but it's Sweetback's Badass Songs, Melvin Van Peebles, the first blaxploitation movie, by a band called Brer Soul, who would eventually become the Pharaohs, who would eventually become Earth, Wind, and Fire. All right? For the people, by the people. This is a fucking landmark record that I still haven't gotten my hands on it. It's a grail item for me. That looks like it's going to be the first one. Now, I got other holes in my Stax catalog. But what I figured is, instead of just talking names, why don't I just flip through some records to tell you about the stuff that may potentially be reissued during this Stax thing. Because they're good. See, my copy of this here, Black Moses, is fucked. It's just kind of like a cheap reissue. I like this record so much. He does his version of the Carpenters' Close to You, or that's a Burt Bacharach song, actually, which the Carpenters did as well, but he does a version of Close to You that's my favorite version, so much so that when my wife and I got married at our wedding, I had them play it for our first dance, and it really pissed me off. I had it on CD, but it pissed me off because I told them, okay, well, look, here's where you come in, right, and here's where you fade out. And the fuckface Harry DJ wrote the time that he had to fade in and fade out on my CD booklet, and it completely pissed me off. Now, I can see that as some kind of a wedding day memento. I kind of see that as a dipshit who wrote on my CD. So, I don't have the Isaac Hayes album I want. I have it, but the good one has an original poster where he's just kind of like out like this, and you just see him in fucking full dashiki robe, and that's the one I want. And I'm hoping that they release this with the original cover, because I would piss myself and I want it. This one might come out also Stax material, right? Shaft was also released on Stax. Just the song Do Your Thing and the song Shaft, just those two songs are worth this entire package. But, you know, this is on. Ooh. There's one more big one for me. There's other Stax recordings on Isaac Hayes. Actually, Isaac Hayes, before started writing solo, was a songwriter, and he was in the backing band. But I'm looking for Hot Buttered Soul. The reason I'm not showing you Hot Buttered Soul is because I don't have Hot Buttered Soul and need it very desperately. So yeah, the Isaac Hayes catalog is definitely coming out, and I might have that available for you guys. I'll do everything that I can to see if we can't share in the joy together. Who else is on Stax? Booker T and the MGs. Carla Thomas. Rufus Thomas, Mr. Funky Chicken himself. Otis Redding. Going into the bluesier stuff. Little Milton. Albert King. All good records, right? Good content up ahead for us. I will never run out of stuff to talk about, even when it comes to new stuff, and it happens because of the partner, so I'm really happy to be able to share that with you.